It's not the sexiest looking beanie, but it's warm. Made in Nepal. Shout out to Nepal. This is James. He owns Alia Homes and also owns two canvases. Two canvases of mine. Did you buy them a few years ago, wasn't it? 2 years ago? About 2 years ago. And then I was fortunate enough that James contacted me a few months ago saying that he was moving offices and wanted a cool mural in this space. So we're out in Nunawading, Melbourne. We wanted to incorporate some of the homes and some of the projects that James has been building over the past few years. I first did there's like two big rainbow lines, like a black and an orange one, and they proved a lot more difficult than what I thought. Like when you're doing a curve on a small piece of paper, it's like, and you've got to flow, whereas you can't do that with this size wall. So that took me a lot longer than anticipated. And then I started with the lion, and now the lion's still got a fair few layers and details to go, but I will be going back to that after I sort of just started the bull to keep things interesting / was working a little bit faster than I thought I would. Yeah, I guess when you like sort of chop and change between a few different things, it makes things more interesting. But what I came up with, James was pretty happy with, and there was just a few little changes. So obviously that's quite rough, very rough. But when I start painting it, I refine things as I go and move things, and I made the lion and the bull a little bit bigger than on the mock-up. The owner, James, he wanted the bull, so I sort of assumed that it was a pretty powerful piece and like something that catches people's eyes when you walk into this building. But yeah, because of the shape of the wall, I suggested that maybe another animal to balance out the piece. So I said the lion. I think they're pretty powerful too, and like we didn't really explore any other animals. I'm gonna have a little bit of a chat. I'm not much of a talker. I don't really like, not that I don't like talking about my feelings. I feel like I talk about my feelings to the people close to me. The reason I don't like talking about my feelings is because I feel like I'm complaining. And I live in an amazing country and have great opportunities and my life is great. So I don't really like, talking about negative things because I feel like I come across as an ungrateful little prick. A lot of people have messaged me and asked, how do you paint when you're not in the right mind frame? Because I understand, people may have relationship problems, or you have, a death in the family, or you've got other stuff going on. And I guess when you're a creative, it's hard enough to find motivation. So self-motivation, let alone when you're not feeling the greatest, or you have other, factors going on other things going on in your life that aren't ideal. And someone sort of asked me that a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh no, it's fine. I just sort of work on a few different pieces and keep myself busy, and that works, I guess, sometimes. But I lost my grandfather at the start of the year, and I did take 6 weeks off because I didn't feel like painting. So I feel like I didn't really remember that or consider that when I answered that question a few weeks ago. I don't think anyone I've ever sort of shown this vulnerable side on Instagram or on any of my videos, and maybe, it was a little bit more raw and said, the challenges that I face, but I don't think I've ever spoken about my personal life and how personal life can affect your work life. And I get it, everyone goes through stuff, and it's always hard to work and function at work, whatever industry you're in. But I feel like when you're creative, you literally, you paint with your soul, and if you're not in the right mind frame, I feel like it does show in your work. So, look, I don't really know what people are going to take from this, and I don't know if it's going to be beneficial at all, but I feel like it may just like me putting my hand up and being like, I'm human, and I've had a really rough time in the last few weeks, but I'm still here painting now, but I've given myself a bit of time. I didn't really post this directly on my Instagram because it was something that I don't think I've come to terms with, and I'm probably going to cry talking about it right now. But I lost my uncle about 3 weeks ago, and I was there when he passed away, and it was quite sudden. And He was like a father to me, my siblings, and my cousins. I think, like with my grandfather, I accepted it because he was older, whereas with my uncle, he's only 55, so I would never have expected to, you know, lose him at that age. Trying not to cry. So he, I think why it directly affects my art even more is because he was literally always the first person to ask about my work. Like, he knew every job that I had going on, always the most interested. He knew every trick of the trade. I used to stay at his house and at my grandparents' house. He lived with them, and he'd set up like my temporary studios, and I'd go in and he'd have all my brushes lined up, and he'd like made an easel for me. And anyway, so he's done that multiple times, and he's done that for years on end. So I feel like he contributed to my journey and is a massive reason why I am where I am now. So I get it, life's shit, like shit happens, I can't change it, doesn't make it any easier. His existence had a direct impact on my art. And so when I picked up a paintbrush the other day, I literally just like physically could not paint. I literally picked up a paintbrush and I was just bawling my eyes out. So I was a bit like, holy shit, am I going to be able to paint again? Like, is this how I'm going to feel every time I go to paint? And like when I went and saw him, I got to see him, and grateful I got to see him and speak to him before he passed away. Like the day before he passed, the first thing he said when his eyes lit up when he saw me, and he's like, you should be painting. And I was just like, and he's like, go home and paint. So, and obviously his last few words were, never stop what you're doing, because like you're going to go far. And he's like, that he was proud of us all and everything. So it's hard because I've got that, like him, you know, like those ears like ringing in my brain, those words ringing in my brain. And then on the other hand, I'm like, I physically don't want to paint. Like I have no energy and no motivation. Anyways, I had this mural booked in. I turned up on Monday with a positive attitude, and within 2 days I've literally like absolutely smashed, like I've got a lot to do, but I've been smashing this mural. Obviously I'm keeping quite busy, so I'm not thinking too much, and when I do, I like get really emotional. But I feel like I thought for a second that I wouldn't be able to paint, and just changing my attitude and rocking up to work and just not expecting too much of myself, but just being like, let's see what I can do today, and whatever I do is going to be better than nothing anyway. That's not to say like I'm not going to run into some really shitty days in the next few weeks and months, because I think grief is real, and I feel like everyone deals with things differently. And yeah, I really just wanted to share this with my followers, because you know, some people might be having a really shit day and then they jump on and they see me happy all the time and they think, is this girl serious? Like, surely she has shit days. Like, and I just want to say, like, I do. And these things in life are inevitable, but it's like how you deal with them and how you like treat other people and how you hold yourself when you're going through these things. But you've also got to give yourself time, I guess, as well. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is like, I'm not even just talking to artists like myself. It's anyone in general, or you know, any creative, anyone who feels flat or you know, struggles with anxiety and depression. I think you've just got to be kind to yourself and just realize that like it's not worth it. Like, give yourself that time. At the end of the day, like, these things in life can wait, like, but if like, it's not fair for you to be feeling like that for any longer than you have to. So yeah, and like in these situations, I'm like, if I lose a few jobs, like whatever, like if I'm going to be okay at the end of it, then that's all that matters. People look at other people too much and like, oh, like they went through that and they were fine within 2 days. Like, everyone's different. You shouldn't set a time limit. It's just how you feel, I guess. And don't be so hard on yourself. If you know, if in 3 years' time you're still struggling with it, it is what it is. Like, you've got to just ride the waves. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to jump on and just speak about this, is because, let's be honest, people put their best foot forward through on social media. Like, it's only the highlights in their life. Like, oh, I finished my artwork. Like, they didn't see all the blood, sweat and tears to get to that. Oh, like, I'm on this holiday. Like, you don't see all the little negative things. Like, people always show, like, that is what social media is for, the highlights of your life. Like that's how you document those highlights. I feel like it's a little bit misleading and sometimes like it deflates you because you jump on and all you're seeing is like positive, 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 positive. And if you're feeling flat that day, it doesn't really allow you to feel that. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to be like, hey, not everything is a highlight in my life or anyone else's life, so get that out of your head. If that's a little bit helpful, then sick. Giving away moustache.
Which one did you see better?
What a delivery.
Nice and strong.
Oh my phone. I'm gonna be full of light.
Very short one in the little cup size, put a big one.
Saturday afternoon and I started this piece on Monday. So it's been a solid 6 days. Monday I sort of did like a half day. By half day I mean like 7 hours, so that's technically still not really a half day, it's like a normal day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were pretty big days. I was here until like 8 o'clock at night most nights and up early, and I probably got it finished maybe like 2 days ahead of schedule. Logistically, it was a very smooth job. I'm quite fortunate. Thank you to Alia Homes for having me here because everyone's been really lovely. It's always nice when you work for people who appreciate what you do. They had full faith in me to execute their vision. Mentally, being like traveling a-okay. I think I don't usually sleep much, but I think having more sleep this week has really helped. Today was probably the only day that I woke up and I was quite flat and I was like, I really don't want to paint today, but you know what? I've got a tattoo on my leg that talks about discipline, so get the fuck up and go to work. Happy Saturday. Did some like meditation this morning and last night because I could feel that I wasn't feeling the greatest. Obviously, family situation is a bit hard at the moment. Painting looks amazing. I think from design concept to finished product, I think I exceeded my own expectations and also my clients' expectations. Yeah, so client's happy, I'm happy, and I wouldn't walk away from a piece if I'm not happy. I pretty much did stick to the design brief. Apart from the houses, I did a lot more detail than anticipated, and I painted the lion's eyes blue and the bull's eyes red. Felt like they sort of were a bit flat on the wall and they sort of sunk in, so that really makes them pop. These coffees are really like, I'm really little, and if I have a coffee I'm like, so yeah, I'm trying to sit still. So in light of life, what it throws at you, I am a little bit behind schedule at the moment. And I used to just try to like squeeze more hours into a day and try to get everything done and sort of beat myself up if I was still behind. But now I just focus on like one thing at a time and just tick those boxes, and then you do those things properly and you don't have to, you know, like making mistakes. And yeah, so now I just focus on one thing at a time rather than starting to play catch up. And it is what it is. So I have a few murals coming up and a really important canvas that I'm working on, which I am a little bit behind on, but I know that everything happens for a reason. I'm just going with the flow, and it's a super important piece, so I've got to really look after my mind at the moment to get myself through these pieces.